Hello, my friend. Welcome to Breakfast with Sergio. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to negotiate pricing when you are selling directly from social media. Well, hello, my friend. Welcome to Breakfast with Sergio. I'm super excited to be here with you. On my plate this morning for breakfast is delicious oatmeal, but check it out. I actually decorated my oatmeal with blueberries and the dollar sign. Why? Because today we're talking about money. We're talking about negotiating when somebody inquires about your art in social media. Let's say you make a post on Facebook or Instagram and somebody sends you a direct message and said, can you give me the price of that last one piece? So, you as an artist, obviously you get really excited and you want to make the sale right away. So in this episode, I want to give you some tips, some ideas on how you can negotiate pricing, how you can get engaged with the prospect buyer or the person who's inquiring about your work in a way that allows you to get closer to the person and hopefully get them more interested in your art. Now, keep in mind that when you are selling online, you cannot see the other person cannot see you, right? So, and that's a huge difference because when I'm working at the gallery and somebody walks in the gallery and inquires about a work of art, I have the person right in front of me. So I can read body language as we discuss pricing and as we talk about the artist or the piece and so on, something that you don't have on social media. So you only rely on words, right? You don't know if the person is smiling or is not, right? So that makes a huge difference. But hopefully, through the tips I will give you, it will help you ease out some of the tensions that are very often around when somebody inquires about art. Now think about this. When somebody walks into a gallery and asks the gallery person about pricing of a work of art, or inquires about a work of art, well, they already understand because they are walking into a gallery that there's a certain pricing structure, right? There's probably a certain level of pricing. Now, when it comes to online sales, particularly directly from social media, it could be somebody who has never purchased art before, maybe somebody who has never walked into a gallery before in their life. So they have no idea how art is valued. So, don't be surprised if somebody gets really surprised about your pricing, right? Maybe they thought it was going to be a lot cheaper. That is okay. That is okay. Your job is also not to scare them away, right? Not to scare them away, but, to be honest and to be open with them and to help them out to understand the price, the value of your work. So first thing you're going to do, if I go into your Instagram, because my wife and I, we also love to collect art or house collected. I mean, it's full with artwork that we have collected over the years. And when somebody inquires about your art, if I inquire about your art on Instagram, what you want to do, the nice thing about social media is that you have a little bit of time. You don't have to answer right away on the instant, right? When I'm working at the gallery and somebody walks in and they ask for pricing, I have to answer right there. I have them in with me right in front of me, so I don't have the luxury of taking my time. So normally what I do is I say, okay, let me look it up. And while I'm looking it up, I like to get to know the person a little bit, right? The idea is to reduce friction. So normally, somebody's inquiring about a work of art. I say, well, let me look it up. Let me give you more information. And while I'm looking for the information, even though I may already have it at hand, I like to ask him, so, are you first time here in Chicago? Are you from here? Are you visiting? And, start a little conversation that will make then the rest of the time that I'm with that person a lot easier, right? If they're visiting Chicago, I may ask them, well, what places have you visited so far? Or maybe I may have a recommendation for them, right? Because I know they like art, they came to a gallery. Have you visited the Art Institute of Chicago? This is the show that's going up right now. So kind of have that little introduction is really helpful. So when it comes to online, what you want to do is, since you have the luxury of time, if somebody inquires you on Instagram, I would recommend take a minute to go to their wall just to see who they are, at least to see their name, because not everybody's name is listed on their Instagram profile. Somebody may have a really funky, weird name on their Instagram profile, but when you go to their account, you can actually see the person's name. Is it a man? Is it a woman? Is it a young person? Is it an older one? And don't worry if on their account doesn't have anything related to art. A lot of buyers, don't share their collection online. It might be a doctor who just uses Instagram for fun and has nothing related to art. So don't think because that person doesn't have anything related to art that is not a buyer, right? Don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. Never make assumptions. It's something I have learned over the years. So what you want to do is take a minute to go to their account, see who they are, get a little bit of a sense of who that person may be, and then when you reply, again, you can plan this out. You don't have to do it immediately. When you reply, acknowledge them by name, right? Because you have already taken the time to look at who they are. Hey, or hi, Mr. Gomez, or whoever that person may be. If it's a younger person, you can address them a little bit more casual. If it looks like it's an older person, maybe more respectful, Mr. Whatnot. So it shows that you have taken the time to know who they are. If you address them by name when you reply. What you don't want to do is just reply, this work is $300 or $5,000, and that's it, right? That's really, it's a cold response that doesn't invite me as the person inquiring to engage in any conversation with you. It's either a yes or no. Okay, no. Okay, fine. So move on to the next one. So you want to, again, engage in a conversation if you can. So the first thing you're going to do is you can say hi, and address them directly. And then what you want to do after that, which I recommend, is to give them a quick thank you. Thank you so much for inquiring about the art. Give them a quick, just very mini sentence, right? That just thanking them for taking the time to follow you and to inquire about your work. That is very important. That maybe they might be been following you for a while. Maybe they just started following you now because they just discovered you. That is okay. Give them a quick thank you. And then after that, you can give them a reassurance also of the work that they selected. For example, if I were to do this at the gallery, somebody's looking at a work of art from one of the artists that is on the show, I may talk a little bit about the piece, oh, this is a wonderful piece, by an artist from, California, and maybe say a few things about that artist and about this particular piece, maybe something that I enjoy about this piece. Or sometimes I even ask the person what is it that they love about this piece and what attracts them to this piece out of this whole show of 30 pieces, what attracts them to that one. Again, just starts a little conversation. Conversations brings the person in connection with the other and reduces friction. So in online, again, you don't have that back and forth immediately, but you can, again, in your conversation, as you reply, start with addressing them who they are, thank them for their interest, and then give them maybe just a little nugget of, I think this is a wonderful piece. The texture on this work is really fabulous. Actually, if you look at you scroll on my page, you will see a detail of the work. Depends. Think about what you do, right? What is it that you make? What makes it interesting, unique, and so on. And you can always address that in your reply. You don't want to write a whole essay. All they want to know is how much it is, right? However, you can, again, as an added value, you can give them just a snippet of information. Why this is a really cool piece. Why do you think it's a wonderful work? If you post it in your Instagram, I assume it's because you like the work. You are happy with the work. So what are some of the qualities that you can assert to them that they have make a great choice in inquiring about this piece? This piece will look amazing on any wall. That kinds of things. What some artists do, which again you always have that option, and I've seen some galleries do that too, is you can always if it's a shot that you have posted on your Instagram, then also reply with another picture that shows the artwork on a setting. And you can use apps that do that put the artwork in a scale in a room. That gives the person who's inquiring a quick view on how big this work is in relation to a chair or a table and so on. And it makes it easier to understand the work that they're looking at, they're inquiring about, and you are providing value to them by giving them useful information, right? If maybe the piece has been featured in a magazine, maybe it's in the cover of something, those things are good, but again, don't make it more than one thing. Just mention one thing that reassures them of their inquiry. Then what you want to do is then to give them the price. Now, when you give them the price, don't say the cost of this artwork or the price of this. You say the value of this work. You are asserting that there's a certain value on the work. So the value of this work is $5,000, $2,000, maybe $300, whatever it is. Now, assuming that you have already working your pricing structured, and that you have also already kept into account that you always want to give some room for negotiation when pricing your artwork. You never want to price your art in a way that there's no room for negotiation, that if you give a 10-15% offer that you are going to be losing. You want to always have cushion for negotiation in your pricing. So many of the collectors may actually want to negotiate with you, engage in a negotiation process. A lot of first-time buyers, they might not know that they can actually negotiate, and they might say yes to the first price that they get seen. But it all depends. So what you want to do again is give the value, call it value. The value of this work is such and such, and make sure, because you don't know where the person may be in the world, make sure you say if it's US dollars or pesos or whatever currency you're using, make sure you mention that as well, because again, when it comes to online social media, there's people from all around the world, so don't assume that they are next door and they use the same currency. So I always say, when I reply to values, it costs whatever US dollars, right, plus shipping, which I always say that as well. Now after that, and then this is up to you. It's an option that you have. Again, you can. I know many artists who have like if it's a new collector, new buyer, they have a right off the bat like a 5 or 10% discount for new buyers, which you can offer that right off the bat right away. So if you're a new collector of my work, I offered a 10% discount that you can already use for this purchase, and it gives that right off the bat if this is something that you have for brand new collectors of your work, right? Now it's optional, you don't have to, you can just reply with that, and then of course you ask him a question. So let me know what you think, let me know how you feel about it, and always give the open door for conversation, which is what you want. This person may buy, may not. This person may buy right now, or maybe it's not the right time. Maybe they looked at the artwork, they loved it, but they just cannot afford it. They didn't expect that it was going to be at a certain price point. People don't know, right? They don't know what is your price points, what are your price points. So you have to keep that in mind. Now if they don't buy now, doesn't mean that they will never buy. If they already inquire, they're going to keep keeping an eye on you, waiting for the right time, for the right offer, right? So what you want to do is leave the doors open for conversation. Maybe you can even ask them, what is it that that attracted you to this piece? We'd love to know. Let me know a little bit. And the idea is to start in a conversation. The person might come back to you, and the person might say, well, it's great, the price is great, or maybe not. Then just when you start the negotiating process. What you want to do, of course, is make sure that you don't feel offended if they offer you something that is, that you think is not really what you what you are asking for, or what you can go down as much. But when somebody makes you an offer, right, don't feel offended. Don't feel like, oh, they're just totally trashing my work because they're giving me this offer. People have no idea a lot of times how much art is worth, what it takes to make art, because many people have never been in that process, particularly new people who just find you on social media. So it's actually fun to educate them, to show them why something, there's value on stuff, and the work that you do. So when somebody gives me an offer, I always provide a counter offer. Okay, maybe the work, let's say, is 1,000. They offer you 500. So it's totally not. I'm not gonna give it for half price. So then you go back, say, okay, how about we'll do 900 or 850, right? So you have to see what is as low as you can go. Maybe they can give you a counter offer, and you have to know what's your bottom line that you can go with, right? And also, how much do you want to sell that piece to that person or not? I have sold in the past works to a first-time collector, which I knew a person was a collector. I would maybe give him a really good deal the first time, and then when they came back again, they purchased more work in the future. So in the end, I ended up making up a lot more than what I discounted in the long run, because I kept in touch with that person. So you have to think on all those things, on all those nuances when you are negotiating your pricing. And maybe at the end of the day, the person said, you know what, thanks, but I'm gonna wait. It's not the right time. That's okay. Don't get discouraged. Make a note that person is following you, And maybe next time that you have another work that's similar to that one, send them a quick note. Again, just follow up again and say, hey, I told you, since you like that piece called Ocean 1, I have now Ocean 2. You may enjoy this one too. Check it out. And then you send them a link, or you just send them the image directly through messaging. Again, to continue the conversation over time. Don't just close the door, which a lot of artists do. A person doesn't buy, they get upset, they close the door on that buyer, and they never talk to them again. You don't want to do that. You want to keep the conversation open. In my experience, a lot of people will actually not buy right there, will actually take time. They inquire because they want to know what's their price point, but they're not ready to buy just yet. And it's a lot easier to sell works at a small price point where, it's kind of a person can just go and buy it, put a credit card, and boom, get the transaction going. Then if it's something more expensive, larger, that's going to take on require shipping, crating, and all those things, it becomes a more complex transaction than just a couple $100 on a small work. So keep those things in mind as you negotiate. And if the person does not reply after you give them the price or the value of the work, and after you have engaged in a little bit of conversation, that's okay. Give them a little bit of time. Sometimes people need to think about it. Sometimes people are busy. How many times happens to you that you get a message from someone and maybe you are at work, or you were driving, or your hands just cannot do it at the moment, and then you forget because other messages came after. Buying art is not the first thing that people need, in the morning or as they start their day, right? So gotta think about that as well. So I hope, my friend, this is useful. Oh, and follow up, of course. Follow up after 2 days or so. Say, hey, just want to check back on you, see what you think about the message I sent you before. It's okay to follow up, up to a couple times if you don't hear any back from it again. And even if they don't reply after a couple times, you can keep them in mind. And it's okay to, as you have another piece that you think is relevant to that one, in the future, you send them a message and you do that. It is totally fine. And, like I said, we in our home, we also buy art, and sometimes I follow an artist for a while, or we follow an artist for a while, and sometimes we inquire and we're not ready, right? We're not ready. We're just trying to figure out, this person price point, and it's okay, and I enjoy when somebody replies back to me later and say, hey, check out my newest works. And because remember, just because you posted on social media doesn't mean everybody saw it. So, those personal touches, I think in the long run, really, really pay off. So, my friend, I hope this episode is helpful for you, as you get inquiries about your art. In the future, share it with your friends. If you thought it was useful for you, please share it with a friend. And if you want to get more tips, you want to boost in your art career, check out my free Art Business Bootcamp by signing up at www.theartistnextlevel.com/bootcamp. Check it out. It's absolutely free, and it will help you take your art career to the next level. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.